The Wrath of Order. The Chronicles of Chaos, Book 4. The devil you know is sometimes the worst of all. Eve has spent years searching for Galen, but when she finally finds him, their reunion sparks a chain reaction that unleashes a formidable power. A resurrected foe who can wield both order and chaos. This entity lurks in the dreams to feed on the spirits of those connected to the dreaming, especially the innocent children living in the house of prophecy. Galen has been preparing for battle, forging an army formed of figments of countless dreamers' worlds. But with prophecy now his weapon, the enemy knows Galen's every move and uses his power to bend the gods of order to his will. Can even Galen, aided by new allies, withstand this overwhelming assault? Or will the wrath of order consume everything they hold dear? Dive back into the world of the Chronicles of Chaos, where beloved heroes face their most perilous challenge yet. The Wrath of Order, written by Glenn Dahlgren. Alright, welcome back to another audiobook review. Oh, it's been some time since I've done this. I haven't really been pushing authors to do this. I tried for some time, but then nobody was sending me any requests. I don't know if maybe I'm been too honest, and some authors don't like that, but I mean, hey, I know you're out there. I know it's a struggle. So if you are an author and you have a book and you've turned it into an audiobook, my business email will be down in the description below, as well as a link to this book. So if you don't like something I have to say about it, or if I don't score it the way you like, which I don't know if that's even possible, but I mean, generally, yes, most of the time I do come across really good books, and yeah, there has been a few that did not quite live up to the hype or hope, but I mean, that just goes to show that, I am very honest about my reviews here. And once again, if this is your first book review, welcome. I do things differently than maybe other book reviewers. First off, I only do audiobooks because I am a single father. I have a very busy life. I have a job, and when I'm not doing the job, I got home stuff to deal with. I have my own books to write. And I mean, if more people were picking up my books, then I'd have more time and maybe I could switch to sitting and reading. But I don't even have time to read books that I want to read. And there's really only one right now that I really want to read because the audiobook version of it does not exist and probably will never exist. And that is a book called The House of Leaves. I can't find the time. I mean, I've owned this book for years, and I can't find the time to actually sit down and read that. So, but I am trying. Maybe I'll do some audiobook reviews here and there in the future, where I'll just pick something by a random, already established author. But I really try to help by doing this. I try to do like self-published authors Mostly because I feel like us self-published authors, we need a bit more of a helping hand. I wish all the people I did audiobook reviews for would actually sit and read my book. A lot of times I get excuses like, oh, I don't have the time. Even though like I offer them audiobooks too. It's like, well, if you don't have time to sit and read a book, you could at least listen to the book and then leave a review. You know, I as I've said before, I do not believe in doing this for money. If YouTube pays me, fine, great. I'd love that. But that's not why I do this. I do this to help out other authors because, like I said, I feel like we need the help. And not one of the people I've reviewed for has read my book, as far as I know. They never contacted me and said, hey, loved it. I hope you're enjoying my series as much as I'm enjoying yours, But I digress. So, all right. Before we get into this, let's go over what I can remember from my previous experiences. So, I think this is book 4, but it's called book 4, I should say. Like, I know it's called book 4, but I think there might be more. I think there's, like, already 4. Because one of the books, I think the very first one I did for Glenn, I think it stood on its own. It wasn't part of this series. Um, so, but that followed a different character, and it was sort of an introduction into the world. Um, and then we got our main character, Galen, and we followed him through books 1 through 3. And Glenn is doing something here. I just want to state that I myself am also doing. So his first 3 books are like one big self-contained story. If it were an anime, you would say this is the Galen arc. And now I guess we're moving into the Eve arc, where the main character of this trilogy will be Eve. I don't know how many more books he's got planned, or if he's got anything else planned after this. But yeah, so unlike him though, my books, books 1 through 6, are the opening arc. It's the big climax to the story, whereas the next 3 books I write and release, the full books, the books that will be part of the Guardian of Light series, those are going to still follow the main character, Shane. However, it will be on a whole new adventure. Like, you could read these 3 books that I'm going to write, and they're their own story, but Shane will already be established. It's like the first 6 books was the first video game, and now we're moving into the second video game, but you're getting to take your save file if you've read books 1 through 6 and transfer it over. I'm not restarting the hero without it. Also, just a quick update, since I've been bringing it up, and so I don't have to bring it up later. The audiobook for my book 6 is delayed indefinitely. The person I had, Jim, who did my last several books, and he loved my series, is having health issues. And he made some posts that basically it's not going to end well. So it's kind of hard to talk about, but yeah, he's not going to be able to do book 6 because he's got to be with his family before he goes. And unless there's a big turnaround in his health, I don't see him being around to do book 6. And I don't feel the need to ask him to do that. I feel like he needs to go and be with his family. So, sorry to get a little heavy on you, but that is why, until I can find someone to help me maybe with book 6, I might do book 6 on my own, but I'm gotta try to find someone to help me with it. I can't do all the voices, and every book has had a male and a female voice person to do the roles, and I want to continue with that. I just got to find someone to help out with that. So, all right. With that said, let's go ahead and dive into this review for The Wrath of Order. So, starting with the cover and title. Sorry. See, told you, it's been a long time. Cover and title. Well, the cover is great, as always. I feel like the title... Oh, first off, I'm giving it 5 stars. If you saw that scale thing at the bottom. It's got 5 stars. The cover's great. Since it's already established series, it doesn't like pop. It's not full of color. But also the title, I feel like the Wrath of Order might have been slightly better in the second book. I mean, it still could have been something to do with order, like the return of order or something. And then the wrath could have been like, order is, angry, so it's, like Wrath of Khan, I'm not a huge, gigantic Trekkie, but I know, The Wrath of Khan is sort of a sequel, I believe, to an episode from original Star Trek. So, I don't know. Just my thoughts. Just, what I'm thinking of. Maybe it would have been better as the second title in this trilogy. But, I mean, it can work for this one, which is fine. But, yeah. So, moving on to the narration. And the narration gets 5 stars. Once again, Glenn does all of this himself, and I think he did a fantastic job. Some of the nitpicks, I guess, is that, obviously you got all your returning characters, and they all sound good. There were a few characters that felt like the same voice was used as previous characters who maybe died, and he just reused the same type of voice for that, but that's fine. The only biggest issue I would honestly have with the narration is there is one moment in the audiobook when one character is talking to another character through a door, and it's fine in the low context when not a lot is happening and you can actually it might sound a little muffled, but you can kind of hear the quick, short responses. However, then things start really to pick up, and there's some action that starts happening. Now, Glenn, if you're listening to this, I think you know the scene I'm talking about. And when that happens, the sound effect that he used for talking through the door, where the sound was kind of muffled, it was really low. And so it was like, I didn't have to, but I almost felt like, oh man, maybe I might have to go back and re-listen to some of this, because the character's voice is just way too low. Other than that, one moment, one time. So that might be something he wants to watch himself on. I feel like once the action, or once that character that was talking through the door really got going, and it became about what she was going through, I felt like that's when it could have dropped off, and it would have just, like, in a movie or a TV show, that would have been like, oh, you got a character on one side of the door, and they're talking to someone, but then something happens, and now we're in the room with the person, seeing what's going on in the room. And then he could have emphasized this by having the character who was outside of the room have him making sounds, banging on the door, sounding muffled. So we would have known, okay, now we've switched, her audio is clear, and now we're inside the room with her, and the guard outside the room is muffled, so he's clearly trying to get in. Something he could have done. Also, I feel like if he had done that, I think it would have made the scene feel more alive. Because, I mean, that's one thing that's really hard with print. And I love it. I love the fact that he did do certain things with the audio. But I feel like he could have tweaked it just a little bit more to really provide. So while these two characters are in the room talking, he could have had the guard outside saying things that he could not put on paper. Because you know how insanely difficult it would be to write that you got two characters having a monologue between each other, and someone on the outside is continuously like bashing the door, or let me in, open the door, something like that. I mean, you'd have to keep breaking away from the monologue. And if you put it before or after, well, that's great, but you could the best you could do in print, I guess, is maybe have them take a break while they're having their little conversation and write in like, oh, this guard outside kept banging and bashing himself against the door. But I still feel like that takes away from the conversation, It devolves attention. Whereas in a movie, in a show, or in an audiobook, You don't have that restriction. So you could have them talking and have a low muffled sound of banging and let me in, going on while they're talking. Just an idea. But anyways, moving on to the writing. Once again, the writing here is, like I said, pretty perfect. Glenn's pretty lucky. He's got a good team of proofreaders, obviously. And I didn't find any issues. Now moving on to story. So, with the story, I'm going to give it 5 stars. It's a good return to form. If I had to pick anything to, really point out, I get the feeling that I might know what's going to happen. And maybe this just comes from me being a storyteller. I got some idea of what the future picture looks like. I don't have the whole future picture. There were things that I thought might happen at the very end of the book that did not happen. And maybe this will happen. I don't know if I really want to say what I'm thinking because I don't want to change his story and give him and put ideas into his head. But maybe if he contacts me, I can, and he really wants to know what my ideas are. But yeah, I have this feeling like something specific is going to happen that I honestly thought would have happened right near the end of this book because he opened the door for it. And it's still a pressing issue from the previous book. So, yeah. I don't want to say it because I don't want to jinx it or push him. I want him to tell his story, but this story, I liked it. I thought it was a good return to form, and it was really good. Now moving on to characters. The characters get 5 stars. They were all really good. A large portion of them were returning. I was surprised that they killed off some people, or that he killed off some people so quickly. And I felt like that could have been expanded on just a little bit more. Like, you saw this event coming, and you had all these characters, but no progress was made towards these characters' ultimate goal. And I feel like as far as story, maybe characters go, it would have been nice to actually start to get some resolve. Actually have the character. Okay, so what I'm talking about is at one moment during the story, you have one of the main female characters who's brought all these different groups together for the very first time for a big, elaborate, UN meeting. And basically, because she is one of the weakest groups, the stronger groups say, you know what, we're taking over your little get-together. We're going to tell you how things work. I feel like if we had got a little bit more time to work with these characters and how they work, and maybe she steps up and really takes charge and says, look, this is the danger. If you don't change, this is the danger of what we face. I feel like it would have been stronger for the story, but essentially, like, since things ramp up, that part of the story never really gets touched on after that. And I feel like that's sort of the big negative. Whereas if you had all this progress made, and then the big event happens that breaks up this little union, and you actually had some progress to work that was working, then it would have made the event more dramatic. I feel like he kind of rushed the gun and got rid of a lot of characters before any real progress was made. I don't know if that necessarily falls under characters, but since it's all the characters who died or lived, that's sort of part of it. And he could have probably gotten an extra chapter out of it too by doing that. But all right, so I'm gonna take a quick break. Do a little self-plugging like I always do. I hope you guys are enjoying these little ads of mine, and I really think it's worth checking out. So yeah, see you guys in a little bit. Bye.
In the glow of the moonlight, shadows fall. Morgana whispers secrets as night calls. She's got a heart heavy with love that transcends, but time is a thief and hope might just bend. In dreams she will wander through the silent haze to pull them from slumber, to break through the maze. So wake up, take on you, break free from the chains, let the light shine bright. Is still so powerful, it's destined and true. Echoes of laughter now lost in the void, where memories linger and lost and destroyed. She reaches for shade, but his eyes are so cold. A warrior's heart turned to ashes and more, but she'll fight through the shadows with magic untold, to shatter the silence, to make it be whole. So wake up, take on you, break free from the chains, let the light shine bright. In a war full of darkness, she's searching for you. Love is not so powerful, it's destined and true. From the depths of the darkness, her heart lights the way, for its ancient magic can conquer the grave.
All right, and we're back. I hope you enjoyed that. I ha- I have more songs in my all my reviews that I do. Uh, all my videos, I try to put those musical ads, and I know they are like. I mean, come on, they're 2 or 3 minutes long. I know, but it's a song. It's enjoyable. It's the best idea I could come up with, and who else out there as a writer has done that for you guys? I hope you. I mean, if you enjoyed the song, then maybe you'll see that maybe you'll enjoy the book too. But all right, now we're moving on to our final section, which is not scoreable. It's not really any points. It's just extras. Extras usually fall under previews, the author notes, stuff like that. So he does have that. He even has like he has a comment or like a recording from a friend of his who he worked with. And this was actually very interesting because the guy who was someone he worked with in the gaming industry actually worked for Sierra. And oh my god, I'd love to meet that guy because growing up, I was a huge fan of Space Quest and King's Quest. More King's Quest probably than Space Quest. I've played almost every single King's Quest game there is. I really miss those old text, adventure games. And they always had like these little Easter eggs in there, which made those games more fun. But yeah, definitely worth a listen to. I enjoyed listening to that, and it gave me a little bit more insight to Glenn. Although, after hearing that he used to be in the gaming industry, I feel like his name does look familiar. I don't know if I've played any games that he's worked on, but yeah, now that I know that, I feel like maybe I might have, which kind of makes him more of a big celebrity. And he asked me to do his, audiobook reviews, which is great. So, I do kind of wish also that he had like a thanks and acknowledgement section, where he thanked everybody. But, other than that, like I said, as far as extras go, the biggest thing is just he did do different things with the sounds. Would have been probably a little cooler if maybe he threw sound effects in. That is something I would like to do myself. If I end up doing book 6, I might go through and try to do all the other books myself if people enjoy those more. But I think I'm going to leave the audiobooks as is. At least for now. But yeah. So now moving on to the final score. And the final score for the Wrath of Order is a 10 out of 10. Once again, this is a good return to form. I did enjoy this. There were a few issues I had, like I pointed out throughout the review, where I feel like I might know where things are going. I would consider it a huge misstep, maybe, if things don't go that way and are unsatisfactory. I mean, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm not one of those people that says, "Oh, the book has to be exactly how I picture where you're going with it." But, I mean, when clues are dropped, it's like you kind of expect that this is going to happen. And when it doesn't happen, if nothing happens, if these certain things, nothing happens from it other than what has already happened, that is where I would be disappointed. Because it's like, well, you had this opportunity and this opening to do this, but you didn't take it. And that's just like, ugh. But, I mean, like I said, right now, we have to look at this as it's the first book of a new story. This is not I mean, it is a continuation from the previous, but it's like it's like the first level of the video game. Let's wait till we get to the later levels before we see. I mean, the thing I'm thinking of might not happen until the end of book 2. He actually, I believe, said he has 3 books planned for this part, and it may not happen till the end of book 2. So I can completely understand that. So that is going to go ahead and wrap up this review. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you are interested in picking up Glenn's book, the paperback and audiobook, well, the paperback is available on Amazon. The audiobook is available on Audible and probably some other places, but those are the 2 places I know. So yeah, with that said, I will catch you all next time. And if you are an author, a self-published author, and you have an audiobook, reach out to me and let me know, and I will give you the information on how to get a review up on the channel. And with that all, I will see you next time. Bye.